quick dinner from Dollar Tree. This is the first recipe in a series of 4 family dinners on a $20 budget. That's just $5 per meal for a family of 4. Today we're making a creamy Cajun pasta, or at least as close as we can get on $5 and dollar store ingredients. I'm using 1 smoked sausage link, which is just half the pack. We'll save the other for another dinner. I'm finely dicing it to help stretch it further. In a pan, I heated a splash of oil and added about a third of this frozen seasoning blend. We'll be using this across a few meals, so I'm kind of rationing it out. Let that cook until most of the water evaporates since it's frozen, and then toss in the sausage to brown it up. Now add your Cajun seasoning. You control the heat here. Add less if you like it mild, more if you want it spicy. Let the spices bloom for a minute or 2. Now I'm adding about a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour to make a quick roux. Cook that for a minute and then slowly pour in all 4 cups of milk. We're using the whole carton here since this is the only recipe in the series that needs milk and we want this pasta to be saucy. Season this to taste with salt and pepper, then stir in some grated Parmesan to create a mock Alfredo sauce. It's not going to be super creamy. Dried Parmesan has its limits, but it does give us that savory, cheesy vibe. Let that hang out on a back burner while you cook your pasta. I like to slightly overcook mine because it makes it feel more filling. Save a little pasta water before draining. I'll explain why in a sec. Then toss the noodles into the sauce, mix well, and finish with a sprinkle of Parmesan on top. This one is rich, smoky, a little spicy, and pretty satisfying for $5. And that pasta water, save it for reheating leftovers. A splash will bring your sauce back to life.
Hey Shug, here's an easy 3-ingredient struggle meal that my family absolutely loves. It's actually my middle child's favorite meal. It's also budget friendly, so if you're on a budget, you could definitely make it and not spend a lot of coin, Shug. And yes, you've definitely seen me make it before, but I started out by browning up some ground beef. Now, if you want to save some coins, you can do ground chicken or ground turkey. And you don't see me season the ground beef because, Shug, this is already seasoned and I'm not trying to over season. I'm going in with 2 bags because I am feeding 7. Now, I just add the amount of water that the package calls for, which is 2.5 cups per bag. And since there's 8 ounces in a cup, there's 16 ounces in these bottles, so I'm going in with 2.5 bottles. I have been asked before, why do I use bottled water? Is it rage bait? No, Shug. These nails are rage bait, but not the bottled water. I actually live in Florida, and so we're on well water, and whenever the water has a sulfur smell, which is really strong, I don't use that water, Shug. I use bottled water. I got trust issues. Next thing I added in was some frozen broccoli. We just love it. It's the one vegetable that everybody loves. I covered this and put it on about medium heat, and it only takes about 20 minutes to cook, and then voila, Shug, it is ready to enjoy. But what y'all having for supper tonight?
Hey Shug, I'm about to show you how to feed 5 for less than $5. Come on, let me show you. I'm gonna start it with some oil in the pot, but if you don't have oil on hand, you can just add a little bit of water, like 2 to 3 tablespoons. I'm gonna chop up some of these hot dogs, Shug. I got this from Aldi's and they only cost me 99 cents. Now this meal is not gonna win Health Meal of the Year award, but it's gonna fill some tummies. I'm supposed to stir those hot dogs around so they can all get a little bit of a char on them. I got the wieners removed from the pot and then I added some water. We're gonna let it come to a boil. Going in with some mac and cheese. I got these for 58 cents at the Aldi's. 4 boxes, that comes to $2.16. So right now we're at $3.15 total. So while that's boiling, I've got about 2 cups maybe of milk, give or take. And I'm gonna go ahead and make my cheese sauce for this for when it's done. Now you usually can get milk from like food pantries. Sometimes they give powdered milk. If you don't have milk on hand, Shug, you can just use water. It's gonna be fine. It's not gonna taste as good or as creamy, but it'll still be fine. You're still gonna eat it. You could also use a can of evaporated milk. And if your kids like sweet peas, you can definitely add that in as well. Mine's a 50/50 ratio, so I'm gonna leave it out tonight. Turn that water off the noodles, and then we're gonna go in with our cheese sauce. I'm gonna add those wieners back in, Shug. I'm gonna add in some black pepper. Some garlic powder. And you can totally omit these seasons. They are not necessary, Shug. This is a personal preference. Onion powder. All right, Shug, I don't know what you'd call this, but I call it a budget-friendly meal for those in the struggle or those who just want a quick and simple meal. But what y'all having tonight for supper, Suge?
If I only had $10 to feed my family on a budget, this is what I'm making. This is day 3 of my $10 Meals a Day series, where I share affordable recipes that you can feed your family if you're on a budget. This is how I grew up, and now that we're a single income household, we're cutting back on as much as we can, including groceries. Today, I'm cooking one of my favorite meals growing up. It's literally the cheapest meat you can buy. They're so flavorful. I just feel like they're so underrated. A 12-pack of chicken legs usually costs around $5. Stretch that around a few meals, and you cannot beat the value. These are leftover drumsticks from a pack we split up. You'll want to season and sear them, then use the same pot to cook your peppers and onions until they're soft. Stir in a little flour and add your broth, and then you have your own homemade gravy. Put your chicken back in the pot and let it simmer for 35 to 45 minutes. The longer it cooks, the more tender it becomes. I'm with cabbage today because it costs less than $3, packed with nutrients, and it's enough to last us for a couple of meals. I'm cooking it with rice to soak up all of that gravy. And here's an affordable, delicious family-sized meal for $10.
Everybody's sick and tired of groceries costing a fortune. There is a threat that SNAP benefits are going to be not coming in November. I actually grew up poor. I made this all the time when I was growing up. Early in my marriage, when we were broke as a joke. I still make it because it's good. We're going to make cheap chicken casserole. You're going to need 3 ingredients. Can of cream of mushroom soup. Any box of stuffing mix will do. A can of chicken. Don't knock it till you try it. It's good. But if you want to use fresh chicken and be all fancy, go right ahead. But this is cheap, and this is what food banks give out, so this is what we use. If you're feeling fancy, toss in some canned veg, green beans, carrots. You can do anything to this, but I'm going to show you the base, the cheap way. Take your 1 box of stuffing mix, dump it into your casserole dish, 1.5 cups of water. You're going to mix this up and let that stuffing mix rehydrate with that water. Let it sit for a couple minutes. Yeah. That's good stuff. Can of chicken. If you're being fancy and you're using that fresh chicken, put it in right now, but juice and all, because that is broth. You know what? I wouldn't be me if I didn't make some sort of a mess. But we're just going to chop it up a little bit. Shred up that chicken. Run a fork through it. That's good enough. All right. A can of cream of mushroom soup. Dump her in. Now, if you want to be all extra and put in seasonings, okay. But this is it. I promise. I'm not being typical white girl. I'm from the South. I know how to season. But you don't have to with this because there's seasonings in that stuffing mix. And it just works itself out, okay? But you can if you wanna. We're gonna mix. Now would be the time to put in your drain cans of veggies or your fresh veggies. You're gonna pop this in the oven on 350 degrees for about 30 minutes. And while that is cooking, I'm gonna give you a quick story time about how that came to be. So when I was a senior in high school, we were broke as a joke. Broke as a joke, waiting for food stamp day, and there was nothing in the house except for pantry items and a couple little things. So I was like, Mom, I have a recipe for chicken casserole, and it called for a lot more stuff than this. So I asked her if she could make some of her homemade stuffing, because all you have to do is use a little bit of seasonings and some cornbread, and we had that. We had the ingredients for cornbread. So she did. She made the cornbread. I got the cornbread, and I made the stuffing mix. I looked at the recipe, and whatever we did have, I threw it in that stuffing mix, which was just cream of mushroom and a can of chicken. Mixed it together, baked it. It fed us. We had dinner that night. It literally saved us from going hungry. So I've always made it ever since then. And it's really good. You actually don't need all those ingredients. Who knew? It's done. If you didn't put any veggies in this, you can serve it on the side, which is what I typically do. Cheap chicken casserole. Make it right now. Cheap, and it tastes really good.
When my husband and I graduated from college and got our first apartment, we were on such a strict budget. This is one of the dinners that we would make a lot because it reheats well and it also makes a lot for not a lot of money. These are burger bowls and it cost me $13.70 for all the ingredients. Let me show you how I did it. Starting out with a 5-pound bag of potatoes. I went grocery shopping at Aldi, so the prices that I'm giving you are gonna correlate with Aldi. For this 5-pound bag of yellow potatoes, it was $4.49. I've got my oven preheated to 400 degrees, and I'm just gonna go ahead and start by cubing my potatoes. To my potatoes, I'm adding just a couple of tablespoons of oil. Whatever you have on hand will work. For seasonings, keeping it super simple with some salt, some pepper, and a little bit of garlic powder. And you could use onion powder as well. I just like to use these. When doing these meals, I never add in spices or oils to the grand totals. But what I will say is if you don't already have salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder on hand, Walmart and Aldi both have a great selection of spices. Usually they're ranging between like 99 cents to $1.20, I want to say, for a bottle. My oven set to 400 degrees. I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in because these gotta get started cooking and we're gonna work on our beef. I've got one white onion here. Now at my Aldi, onions only come in a 6-pack and it's $2.99 for a pack of 6. So 1 onion, 50 cents. For my beef, I'm gonna be using 1 pound of 85/15. This just happens to be organic. I don't always get organic, but Aldi always has really great prices on organic. So for 1 pound of beef, it was $5.49. I'm gonna brown my beef and I'm just gonna be adding in a little bit of salt and pepper. Once the meat is about 75% of the way cooked, adding in my onion. All right, the meat is done, so I'm gonna shut it off. And no, I'm not draining that, but if you would like to, you could drain it. Potatoes gonna head start baking at 400 for 20 minutes, and now we're gonna go in with some cheese and assemble the whole thing. This is a 12-ounce bag of shredded cheese. You can use whatever kind you have. I'm just using our favorite. So I'm gonna add in half of it to the potatoes. And then I'm gonna mix that in. That way the cheese gets all covered and mixed with the potatoes. On top of the cheesy potatoes, I'm gonna spread my beef and onions and cover this with a piece of foil. And this is gonna go back into the oven, 400 for 20 minutes. 20 minutes later. And now with the rest of the cheese, sprinkling it evenly over the top. And back into the oven it goes for 10 more minutes or until the cheese on top is nice and bubbly and melted. The recipe for the sauce, half a cup of mayo, a tablespoon of mustard, 2 tablespoons of ketchup, and then you get that perfect color. This makes 6 very large portions, and I drizzled that mayo sauce on top that we made. If you guys want to see more meals like this, let me know because I can make a whole series out of this.
Welcome to Broke Girl Dinner, where I literally have $2 in my account and I have to make dinner for my family. Side note, we have like nothing in the house and I have no money to go grocery shopping, so we're getting really creative with the things that we have. Tonight we're gonna make something called puffy pizza, where we're gonna take biscuits, layer at the bottom, tomato sauce and cheese, and pop it in the oven, and I will show you. I need to grease my pan, and I literally ran out of the grease spray this morning, so I'm just gonna have to butter it up or something. That's what I did. I took butter and I just greased up. So hopefully it works. Could be the best thing, could be the worst thing. I have no idea. So we're gonna layer the bottom with biscuits and just break it up. Use as many biscuits as you need, and you can also put these back in the fridge outside of the can if you don't use all of it. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. I have these 2 that were left over, so we're gonna use these first before I break in that can. Breaking it up in chunks and putting it at the bottom. Remember, it's not gonna be perfect because it is a puffy pizza, so it's gonna look like this at the end. Next, take tomato sauce or pizza sauce. We're using with what we have. I'm gonna have it in this bowl so my daughter can help me, and then layer on top a thin layer. Preheat your oven to 350. If you were to purchase everything at Walmart to make this meal, it's gonna be less than $10. I think I did it in the app and it was like 8 something. So super cheap meal. Top it with any toppings that you want, pepperoni, sausage, mushrooms, whatever, but we only have cheese. So we're making a cheese pizza. I do have canned mushrooms, but I don't think the kids will eat those. So cheese pizza it is. Cheese puffy pizza. Since this is just tomato sauce, we're gonna go in with some Italian seasoning on top. Then go ahead and layer your cheese and put in seasoning on top too, and then I'll pop it in the oven for 30 minutes. Don't forget to toss this in the fridge and use it for a different day if you did not use all of it. Here's what it looks like when I just pulled it out. We're gonna let it cool and then I'll serve it up. I had to pop it in the oven for like 10 more minutes. The kids are hungry, so I'm gonna serve it up. There's pizza and veggie straws. What are you guys eating for?
Let's make one of my favorite dinners ever. It's super easy, super cheap. I think it costs about $12 and it's picky eater friendly. First, we're just gonna brown our ground beef. Somehow we've lost our meat masher. We don't know where it went, so I'm just gonna use a spatula. Drain your grease, add 3/4 cups of water, and your taco seasoning. All right, while the meat is simmering, we're gonna open up our crescent rolls. Separate each triangle. Put them in a circle. Second pack of crescent rolls, you wanna fill the gaps. When you're done, it'll look like this. Now we're ready for the beef. Take the beef and spread it on the base layer. Once you've put the beef on there, put some cheese on top of the beef. Now you just take it and start folding it over. We have a ring, and you just put it in the oven at 375 for like 15 to 18 minutes, just until your crescent roll looks cooked. And I just put whatever toppings on it. I put a little bit more cheese, some sour cream, tomatoes, mild sauce. So good.
This is a great dinner if you're trying to stretch a rotisserie chicken. It comes out to about $13 to make at my local grocery store. Let me show you how to make these chicken enchilada sheet pan quesadillas. Starting with the rotisserie chicken, I went ahead and shredded all of the meat, and I'm gonna add in 1 block of cream cheese, 1 can of enchilada sauce. I'm gonna add in some rinsed and drained black beans. Give that a quick mix. I'm spraying my cookie sheet, and I don't wanna see any comments about my cookie sheets, okay? These are seasoned. These are perfect. I'm not getting new ones. Now that we talked about that, let's move on to our tortillas. I've got an 8-ounce block of cheddar cheese that I just split in half. I'm gonna grate half on the bottom, and then we're gonna add in the chicken mixture, and then we'll add the rest of the cheese. Adding in the chicken mixture. Grating on the remainder of my cheddar. This was an 8-pack of burrito-sized tortillas. I'm adding 2 more right in the center, and then I'm gonna start rolling in the sides. I'm gonna spray the top of my tortillas with a little bit more cooking oil, and then I'm placing another cookie sheet right on top of that. And again, I don't want any comments about my cookie sheets. They're perfect. This has been slowly happening over the course of many years. I don't want to see any comments about it. We're gonna pop this in the oven at 400. This baked for 25 minutes at 400. This definitely comes out a bit cheaper to make if you get the ingredients from Walmart, but my Walmart was out of rotisserie chickens already for the day. So it's cheesy, it's got a little bit of spice to it. I will leave a list of groceries that you need to make this on screen here, and I gotta go eat this and watch my new show that I started. I will talk to you guys later, bye.
Today we're gonna make the easiest $7 meal for a family of 4. Preheat your oven to 375. Get a pan, some non-stick spray. 2 bags of this rice, it will be $2. The chicken flavor. 2 cans of cream of chicken soup. These were like 70 cents each. Fill 1 of the cans up with water. Give it a good mix. Take some chicken breasts. These were $4.80. Now do some seasoning. This is optional. This is how I do it. Onion powder, garlic powder, salt, pepper, a little bit of chicken bouillon. Put this in the oven for 45 minutes. Take this chicken out and shred it, and then mix it all in together. I'm gonna take some cheese, and then just put this back in for another 5 to 10 minutes. And that's it. All right, you guys are hungry?
Yep. Here is a 3-ingredient, cheap, easy, delicious meal. Fair warning, this is probably not the healthiest meal, but it's good. You'll need a pack of already cooked meatballs. I just get the ones at Walmart because they're cheap and they're pretty good. There's like mixed reviews about them, but I think they're good. Normally, I would put this in the crock pot, but I totally forgot. That's why we're just putting it on the stove, so we will get the same effect. And I'm just gonna do the whole bag, that way we can eat some leftovers throughout the week. You're gonna need a big can of cream of mushroom soup or 2 small cans. And we're just gonna dump that right in. Now for our sour cream / Greek yogurt, because I don't buy sour cream anymore, but we're just gonna do like a big glob of that. You can totally stir this and leave it as is, but I'm gonna add in a few seasonings. I'm gonna add some onion powder, garlic powder, and a little bit of salt and pepper. I normally like to add an onion soup mix packet to this, but I'm allowed, apparently. Combine everything and stir it as best as you can. It's a little bit hard with the frozen meatballs. Turn the stove on to a medium-low heat, put the lid on, and let it cook.
And then after you cook it, you just serve it up with rice or noodles. Did a side of broccoli as
Hey guys, welcome to my budget dinner series where I teach you how to feed your family for less. This week I took $50 into Walmart and I turned it into 5 dinners you can feed your family throughout this week. Make sure to check out my previous videos. Tonight we're on night 4, so let's get cooking. For tonight's recipe, we're gonna need some very simple ingredients. I had you grab a 3-pound bag of frozen chicken. I thawed half of that last night, so we're gonna save the rest of this for tomorrow's meal. We're gonna need our yellow potatoes, rest of our whole carrots, some butter, honey, and this Kinder's roast chicken seasoning. Got quite a bit of potatoes left in this bag, so just use as many as you think your family will need. My thawed out chicken here, add it to a 9x13 baking dish. I actually need to trim some of these little nasties. That looks edible. Chicken is so gross. I'm gonna chop up these potatoes. Do whatever size you want.
It's me, Flash.
I'm gonna cut these carrots into wedges. And this Kinder's roast chicken seasoning, and I'm just gonna get it all over the top. You don't have to do this part, but I'm just gonna add a little drizzle of honey to those carrots. Make sure to flip your chicken over so it gets seasoned on both sides. Cutting this butter into little squares that I'm gonna lay all across the top. I didn't quite use the full stick of butter, but I used almost all of it. Cover this up with foil. Mine was in for a little over an hour. Everything looks and smells really good. Achoo! The chicken is tender enough I'm able to cut it with a butter knife, so that's good. This tastes and smells like going to a little grandma's house on a Sunday after church. It's the only way I know how to describe it. Another winner, guys. Hope you come back tomorrow to finish out this week.